Alan Cope, Production Superintendent from 1976 to 1987. Back in CSR days, the job was known as mill manager. So there was a manager of the mill and there was a mill manager, which got a bit confusing. So the title was eventually changed to Production Superintendent, which better reflects what it is you do. It's a matter of employing the folks that work in the mill. So that was a major part of the job, interviewing and employing most of the people other than tradesmen in the mill, and then getting them all to do what was required to make sugar. Definitely the people that you come across, the people that you work with, the people that you're out there in the middle of the night solving problems and recovering from many disasters. Strong relationships with everybody really in the place. Many in 22 years. So 1976 to 1997. So I've been retired 25 years, but the memories are still strong. Many nights having sugar ships come from Sydney to collect sugar, and molasses ships, and them getting carried too far by the tide or the wind, finishing up against the bridge, and riding my bike up on the bridge to talk to the captain of the ship and getting him to go back. The mill's back there. That was rather entertaining. Midnight on the middle of the Harwood Bridge talking to the captain of the ship. Well, the most dramatic changes, there have been many, as you can imagine, but the most dramatic changes were, first of all, in 1965 and 66, going back a long while. I was actually at Broadwater Mill at that time as a younger chemist, mill chemist. A fairly major, or a very major change, a major upgrade of the 3 New South Wales mills. They each went from roughly 70 tonnes of cane an hour to more like 120 tonnes of cane an hour. That involved new boilers, massive investment by CSR, new boilers at each of the 3 mills, and much new processing equipment. Everything upgraded. Major overhaul in 1965-66. In 1976 came the end of hand-cut cane. Major change to the industry. Cane was harvested by machine and cut into short billets of cane instead of long stalks. And of course, the iconic river transport of New South Wales cane with derricks and punts and launches and grabs to get the cane out of the barges. That all came to an end, and nobody actually foresaw the mechanically cut cane cut into short billets. The effect that rapid cane deterioration in the tropics was going to have on the sugar quality. The cane deteriorated very rapidly, and eventually it was worked out the whole industry had to solve this problem. The cane had to be processed within 24 hours of being cut. So the concept of a 0 hour, where at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock each morning, the previous day's harvest was finished crushing, and you're crushing fresh cane at 8 o'clock in the morning, just been harvested. Otherwise, the cane deterioration led to unsaleable sugar, very poor sugar quality. And so that was a very rapid change that the whole Australian industry had to figure out. Rapid cane deterioration from from harvesters. So in 1985, the last sugar was transported by ship from these mills, New South Wales mills, to Pyrmont Refinery in Sydney. And the situation then is well known of what happened with sugar transport and the Brisbane bulk sugar terminal that had been built. Those two things combined led to the formation of the cooperative, because the cost of carting sugar to Brisbane to be covered by New South Wales sugar was way more than we'd been paying prior, and that led to the economic imperative of New South Wales Sugar building a refinery, and that's a very major change. The final major change that is the level of automation in the sugar mill went from close to zero to fairly fully automated in the space of 15 odd years, from roughly the 1980s, the mid 1980s again. The level of the ability for industrial measurements and control improved dramatically worldwide. The advent of industrial strength computers, of which there's now many in the sugar mill, and that was also an economic imperative to go from 110 people in the mill to a much lower number now. The level of manning was not sustainable. So the automation is pretty dramatic in the sugar mill now compared to what it was in the 60s. People sit at a computer and can see their whole process in graphics on the screen, rather than having to walk up and down stairs and look inside vessels and tanks, and a big change. It's a pretty unusual industry. It's in the remote tropics in North Queensland and northern New South Wales to a lesser extent, not quite so remote, but you form a bond with your fellow workers. You're a long way from the decision makers in the big cities, and you've got to figure things out for yourself. So there's a degree of resilience amongst the people in the industry, and they're all good folk. Well, the people who work in the industry are very aware of the long history of the sugar mill, but the publicity for the 150th year anniversary for Harwood Mill, that gets it out there in the public. The people in town are also aware of the history, but not quite as aware as they could be. And this is this is an excellent way to bring the industry forward in the attention of the local population and the tourists. But it's also of benefit to the people who are here, because we're all going to get together again and enjoy a sandwich and a hamburger or something. We had quite a good Australian movie being made at the back of this office, in the back of my house, which is just 2 doors away. We had a movie called Fields of Fire. So it was about cane cutters and sugar mills, and at Almara. In the old buildings near the Almara Hotel, there were some iconic scenes from a movie called Fields of Fire. So burning cane and making sugar, and it was quite interesting and dramatic. My kids were quite young, and this was happening just outside our back fence.